What's going on, Phillies fans? Welcome to the Phightins Final Big Al here, and where we talking your fighting Phillies sweeping the New York Mets. I don't care how bad the Mets are. It's a good thing to say. I don't care how good they are, how bad they are. However it happens, when you sweep the New York Mets, it puts a smile on my face, and it should put on yours as a Phillies fan. But the Phillies are down to one game. Magic number is number one right now to clinch the playoffs for your fighting Phillies. There are 6 games left in the season. They get the day off tomorrow. Then it's 3 against the Pirates at home to end the regular season at home. And then 3 in Queens against the Mets one more time. So things are looking pretty good. Your Phillies bats are hot. Young arms are coming out in style. And you can't be any more happy than you are right now if you're a Phillies fan getting ready for what hopefully turns out to be a red October, much like last year, if not with a better ending. But yeah, so guys, welcome into the Phightins Final. Like I said, I'm Big Al. You can catch me at Big Al EOP on Twitter, and follow us EOP here at EOP Sports on Twitter, as well as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, we got it. Check it out. So guys, let's get through it. Let's go through it right now. I know I'm a little late. All the guys on the lacrosse, all lacrosse there had a big show tonight. For any of you lacrosse heads, the Premier Lacrosse League had their championship game here in the Philadelphia area. Technically Delaware County, but it was at Subaru Park where the Union play. So little local lacrosse news there. But let's get into your fightings. Christopher Sanchez continues to turn heads as the youngster, and I'm sure plenty of people are trying to wonder, like, could he be in the postseason? Should he be in the postseason? And that will be a conversation to be had by all tonight. But we'll find out. Let's see. Got some comments here. Chris Moore, 1 win away from the playoffs. That's right, Chris. The magic number is number 1. And in this case, the loneliest number is okay with me because I want to lock in that playoff spot. It's important that pitching needs to be figured out before the playoffs start. That's something we're going to talk about. But I'm very optimistic with the way the pitching has been moving lately, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But let's go through. Let's talk about the pitching itself tonight. Young arms came through big time tonight. So let's look at it. Christopher Sanchez, like I said, came on about June this year and has been pretty locked down, like pretty damn good for most of the year. One clunker game, one game kind of fell apart later in the game, but other than that, he's been captain consistent and he's one of the hardest sinkers to hit in baseball right now. So you have to tip your hat to the pitching staff and to him. Really, nobody saw that one coming. We just thought, oh man, we're stuck with Christopher Sanchez as our number 5. We were like, all right, I guess it could be worse. It's not a bullpen game, but nobody was flying high about Christopher Sanchez. But I think we are now. 7 innings pitched tonight, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 10 Ks. You heard that right. 10 strikeouts, only let up the 1 home run. And that would be all the scoring that they would let up. Talking about a young arm, King, I want to say this right. Osiris King is a guy came out of low ball. I don't know too much about him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know everything about him. But he came out of low A ball and made his way all the way up to the majors right before a playoff run. It's pretty amazing. Made his major league debut tonight. 1 inning, 2 strikeouts in that inning. Strikeout for his first major league pitching matchup. Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting high on the guy just yet, but that's pretty amazing. From low A to the majors right now before you make a playoff run, just 6 games before your playoff run. It's got to say something about this guy and how they feel about him. Lorenzen actually he came out of the bullpen, closed the game tonight. 1 inning and 1 strikeout. Looked good, looked crisp, looked clean. Everything we hope to see from him because most likely he will not be starting. But if any of the pitchers have a problem, maybe in the 4th or 5th inning, they start to fall apart. Aaron Nola, hopefully a guy like him can eat up 2 or 3 or more innings because that seems to be his sweet spot as well. You can do 2 or 3 innings before he starts to fall apart. So this might be kind of where the Phillies adjust to guys like Aaron Nola who can fall apart, even Taijuan Walker who have some clunker innings, where the leash is going to get shorter come red October. It's not something, they're not going to wait too long to pull anybody. They're not going to ride it out because there is no tomorrow after October. In October, there is no tomorrow. I mean, a little bit to a point, but for the most part, you don't have a lot of leeway like we have right now. Okay, so the leash will be short, but the bullpen is getting better. Sir Anthony, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't even know how much they trust him right now. But Alvarado is throwing gas again, and he's looking good, and he's hitting his spots. Speaking of gas, Carrick, like I said, he was hitting 100, and he was painting the outside. He had some funky movement on that ball. I like what I saw so far from him. Who else? Hoffman, outside of one game, he has been just an amazing find for the Phightins. Who else have we got out there? I'm trying to think of. Strom has been very serviceable as well, especially after going a couple innings if you need him to go. If you all remember, he did start some games, about four innings in a game when we were doing some bullpen games. So I'm not out on our bullpen. No, listen, it wasn't as locked down as it was early on in the season, but for the most part, the bullpen I think has adjusted well, and it's kind of coming on at the right time. Guys, I remind you that this show is brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. That's right. Sherry'sTickets.com. Great prices, no hidden fees. I'm not talking just sports, concerts, theater, you name it. They got, I don't care where in the country you are. You can use Sherry'sTickets.com. They are family owned and operated since 1946. And like I said, there's no hidden fees. You're not going to get like the other places do. Oh, hey, I got these. I can afford these tickets. Oh, there's a $200 service fee at the end. Never mind. Well, guess what? No service fees, nothing like that at the end. And you can save an additional 10% off using that great promo code EOP10, right? That promo code is EOP10. Go to Sherry'sTickets.com right after this show. Not right now, but right after the show. But check out Sherry'sTickets.com for all your ticketing needs. So that is your pitching. And like I said, Sanchez, young, up and coming. Carrick, young, up and coming. Just really just looking at the future, not just the Red October coming up, but the future in the 2024 and beyond. Things are looking good, because there's going to be some tough decisions that need to be made come this offseason. You got 1 year left with Zach Wheeler. Aaron Nola, probably gone. Just trying to think who else is on a short leash. I think you're becoming the last, one or two for Kyle. Trying to think. Reese could be done. He could never play in the Phillies uniform again, especially if Bryce Harper continues to play first base and they're okay with the way things are moving around, and Trey Turner just really coming around and playing like the Trey Turner we know and love. So there's a lot of tough decisions looking further into the future, but getting young guys, studs like that, that are super affordable for a while, because you can't go out and buy top of the line pitching all the time. As we know, it doesn't always work out, because you got guys like Soto who are on long contracts or getting paid a good amount, a nice chunk of money, who have been not consistent. Let's put it that way. There's certain times he can be on fire, and there's a lot of times you can put up clunkers. Right as of lately, Soto's been looking better. It's just hopefully he can stay consistent into the postseason and beyond. So that is your pitching matchups tonight. Butto, I think it's Butto, however you want to say it, Butto or Butto for the Mets. Only went 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, all 4 of them earned. 2 walks, 5 Ks, and let up the home run. Hartwig came in with went 1 inning, 1 1/3 inning, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, walk, and 2 strikeouts. And then K and Gott shut down the latter end for them, going 2 2/3 innings and collecting 3 strikes between the two of them. So strikeouts are still a thing for the Phillies, but the way these guys hit the ball, that's going to happen. I mean, even last night's win, I mean, outside of today, all these games have been super close for the Phillies. Not that this was like a blowout in any sort, but, the last few games before this were all blowouts. Or no, close games. And this is, that's where the strikeouts are going to hurt you. So, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. Nick Castellanos, definitely, he's really thriving in that bottom half, that 8 spot, that 7-8 spot. He's owning it. Some guys will kind of pout, cross their arms, and be upset that I should be higher up. But having a guy like him who can produce at the bottom of the lineup goes a long way. I mean, this is a murderer's row of sorts when this team's hitting on all cylinders. So let's go through the box scores tonight and see how each guy did individually. We'll break that down a little bit for you. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that this is brought to you by CherryInjuryLaw.com. David Cherry is your man with a plan. If you get hurt at work, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, Dave will fight for your rights. The number 610-565-0300, or go to CherryInjuryLaw.com. So let's start. Kyle Schwarber lead off again. Guys, get used to it. All those people out there hate it. I know you're not happy with it, but it's not going to change. So let's just hope for the best and keep moving forward on that one. But Kyle Schwarber was the DH. He was 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout. Turner was 1 for 4, scored a run. Harper was 1 for 3, scored a run with a RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. Bohm was a quiet night for him tonight, 0 for 4. Bryson Stott had a big hit tonight. You know, something he kind of needed. Gave him a night off the other night, kind of top or so, give him a little rest. Thought maybe he was a little tired, but 1 for 4 with 1 run scored and 2 strikeouts. JT, 2 hits. He was 2 for 4 with 1 run, 2 RBIs, and a strikeout. Big hit for him tonight. He got the scoring started for the Phillies in an inning. Castellanos was 1 for 2 with a run, 2 ribbies, a walk, and a strikeout. Marsh was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, and JK was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Seeing some guys like this, JT, somebody I brought up, if you read my article from the other night, he's been playing at home, especially lately, much better. The splits between home average and away average were stark, is the best way of explaining it. But I'm not getting super stuff. It seems like he's coming on the right time. He had a big hit Friday night. He was hitting again last night, and then tonight at it again. So if JT can continue to produce at home and keep that average up both at home and away, it's going to be big. We saw that last year. They scraped by the Cardinals last year in that wild card. I mean, they got down to the 9th inning in that first game, and we all thought that was the first loss for the Phillies, and that could have been a different outlook. We might not got past that wild card round. It could have been completely different than what we remember from last year. But that didn't happen that way. And then into the Braves series, you saw other guys come on. Marsh, Reese, JT, in the Parker. I was in the stands for that one. I lost my mind in that one. That was just an amazing run. And like I said, as guys got hot, the team got hot. And that's what we need to see. It's all about timing with this too. Let's see. Jessica's chiming in here. What's the news on the newest pitcher? The news is not I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know everything about this guy, but he was in low A ball in the beginning of this year and made his way all the way up to major leagues just a week out from the postseason. It's got to tell you something, Jess. I mean, really has to tell you something about this kid. The kid can throw, like I said earlier, he can throw some gas. He was hitting 100. He had some really good movement. He was painting the trim of the strike zone with that high heat, bringing it inside, bringing it down, I mean, he had it all over. He was controlled. He didn't just have speed. And a lot of times, these young guys have velocity, but the control is lacking. But he has both. Now, one sample size, but the fact that he made it this from low A all the way up to here, and they're bringing him up and trying him out in these situations, says a lot. So, I'm excited to see what this guy can be. And I was saying earlier, young pitcher. I'm not just talking about now and into October. I'm talking about into the coming years. If he could be a top tier, top flight bullpen piece, that could be huge for the Phillies going forward. But like I said, I'm not gonna pretend like I know a lot about him. I'm doing some research probably after I get off the air here tonight. Read up about him a little bit, get an idea of what he's about. But like I said, he was in low A ball earlier this year and made his. I mean, he traveled a lot because he kept changing and going up in teams, and he was impressing. And apparently the moment doesn't seem too big for the guy at this point. So so the young guys really coming around, and that was always been a knock on the Phightins, that they didn't have anybody waiting to come up, and they didn't have anybody in the farm system. They were going to sell the farm to get guys in here, but I mean, young guys have really stepped up. Bryson Stott, nobody expected this year out of Bryson Stott. I mean, had a good year last year, expected some improvement, but not the improvement that we've seen. I know Marsh wasn't in our farm system, but a young guy who we brought him in for defense. He's learned to hit a lot better, working with the hitting coaches here. Boom, there's another one. There's a young guy in there who has just been very consistent and unwavering since that time. He lipped those words. I hate this place. He's just been on top of it. So that is a Hoffman, another young guy from the farm system that just, Rojas. Let's talk about Johan Rojas, another one who has just been really good. Really, by this point, you would think Johan Rojas would have maybe, I won't say been figured out, but if the tape was out on him, he'd be struggling a little more. But just from watching him running out in the field play defense, it's fun. Like usually playing out, you don't get excited about a guy playing defense, especially in the outfield. But watching him cover ground the other night, I'm at the game, and the wind is taking that ball in some funky directions. But he was able to cover that ground, and like it's like the old Gary Maddox saying, 2/3 of the world is covered in water, and the other rest of it's covered in Gary Maddox. And Johan Rojas he's doing it. You know what I mean? He's doing the same thing. He is covering, and he's performing at times at the plate when needed. So saw a big RBI, well not RBI, a big run scored last night. From third base. His speed is a huge plus, and his long lanky arms came in huge, getting in under the tag, giving them that insurance run they needed last night. So things like that, production from the bottom half, the bottom third of the lineup is uber important, especially in these type of games. Walt's checking in here. What's going on, Walt? Coming in late, but one more to go. Absolutely, Walt. Magic number for all those who are just joining me, 1. Magic number is 1. If we could have had it tonight, but we had to have either the Cubs or the Marlins lose, but of course they both won. So maybe tomorrow we might see that. We'll find out. If not, Tuesday's going to be pretty crazy at the bank when the Phillies take on the Pirates. It's going to be a big win if the Phillies can knock it out, or the Marlins or Cubs, help us with a little push. We'll find out. But yeah, the magic number is 1. Let's go through the scoring for tonight and how it all went down. But real quick, I want to remind you that this is brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. That's right, Philly Sports Trips. Those guys right now, that whole crew, 500 plus Eagles fans down in Tampa right now, having a great weekend, gearing up for the big game tomorrow, Monday night, Eagles versus Bucks, trying to go 3-0. All the away games are covered, from bus trips to flights, hotels, tickets, amazing tailgates, food, drink, you name it, they got it. Always tell you guys, it's not just a trip, it's an experience. Even for the home games, they have you covered. They have great tailgates. Don't have to worry about lugging a grill and coolers and all that stuff down there. For all the money you would pay to do that, you can pay them and they will take care of it for you. And it would be amazing. Trust me, you will not be sorry. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com. As you can see on the screen here, they have that London trip coming up. The Phillies will be taking on the Mets next June. It'll be amazing. Get there. Go with Philly Sports Trips. They have spring training lined up. All the Eagles games lined up. They have the Flyers, Outdoor Classic, or whatever the heck they're calling it nowadays. They have that covered. They have so many new trips coming on all the time. Check them out. PhillySportsTrips.com. Let's see. Walt's chiming in again. Let's see. Cubs have it tough. 3 at Atlanta, 3 at Milwaukee. Yeah, they're going to earn it. Cubs fell off a little bit in September. I was there. That was the team I did not want to see. To be honest with you, if I had at one point, I said they kind of remind me of us last year. Like, kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, we were all talking about picking the bones of the Cubs at the trade deadline. We all thought, we could grab their pieces that they have, and they were going to sell, and they held on, and it may pay off. It just may pay off for them. But like you're right, they do have a bit of a tough stretch. Now, the Atlanta one, I don't know. It could be not as tough. They just had 2 games today, which we'll get the out-of-town scores in a moment. But they had 2 games today against Washington. So they coming off, they already clinched their spot. They don't really have much to fight for right now. Just that number 1 spot. So that, depending on how all that works out, they might not play them as hard or put other guys in there and give guys like Acuna a rest. Maybe not let their pitchers go 6 or 7 innings, maybe only about 4 innings. It really depends on how they play this out. So the Atlanta game series may not be as hard as it normally would be, but yes, Milwaukee's in a dogfight as well. So they do have a bit of a murderer's row in front of them for the next 6 games. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But like I said, let's get into scoring. It's like I said, starting the bottom of the fourth. JT Realmuto singles a line drive to left field, and he scores Bryce Harper and Bryson Stott. That's where the scoring started. 2-0 Phillies. It stayed in the bottom of the fourth. Nick Castellanos with another home run. I mean, he just reached down and got that. It wasn't like right over the plate and he just walloped it. It wasn't out of the zone, but it was down in the zone. And he reached down with those big long arms and that giant bat he uses it and just walloped it out of here to left field and scores him and JT Realmuto. Phillies are up 4-0. Bottom of the fifth, the man himself, Bryce Harper, wanted to join the fight. He singles a line drive to center field. Trey Turner scores. And then the Mets would get themselves on the board with the one flub from Christopher Sanchez with when Ronnie homers to left field and scores one other runner, LaCastro. So that would be all the scoring for the night. 5-2 Phillies victory. Sweep of the Mets. Can't say that enough. Sweep of the Mets. Like I said, I don't care how bad they are, how far out of it they are, how much of their team they sold. I'll say it every time, and I'll be as happy as I would be if they're the best team in baseball. Sweep of the Mets is just rolls off your tongue. But let's check that out of town scoreboard. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that this is also brought to you by Dolan's Bar. Go to 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park. Tell PJ EOP sent you. Quizzo Music, Great Times Memorabilia, Dolan's Bar. They have some new stuff coming up. I just talked to PJ yesterday, and he was telling me that they have some new things coming along there at Dolan's. Can't wait to announce here. But check them out. It's always a great time, and they're just getting better. So check it out. Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue, right in Delco. A few exits south of Philadelphia Airport, right north of Wilmington. So you can come off 95, and it's right there. So check out Dolan's Bar. Go to dolansbar.com. So real quick before I get into the out-of-town scoreboard, let's look at this right now. The Phillies are about 3 or 4 games up over the the Braves are about 3 games up over the Dodgers right now, trying to keep that number 1 spot. And then the wild card. We are 5 games up, sitting pretty right now. Get that number 1 number in there, lock us in that spot. Arizona is a half game above the Cubs with the 2 spot, and Chicago is locked into that 3rd spot with Miami right behind them by 1 game and Cincinnati behind them by 2.5 games. San Fran's 4.5 games, San Diego's 5 games. That seems like a pipe dream for them at this point. San Francisco is about 3 games from being eliminated, and San Diego's 2 games from being eliminated. So there a lot of things would have to really roll their way for them to get into it. Cincinnati, even a little bit more tough sledding. They're 4 games out from elimination. But not totally out of it. It really would still, cards would have to fall their way. Miami, they're fighting. They won 2 in a row. Still 1 game out, looking in. Chicago is teetering right there at the 3rd spot. So if everything was to fall the way it is right now, the Phillies would be the wild card hosting Arizona, and the Chicago Cubs would be playing against Milwaukee in Milwaukee, if everything was to go the way they are right now. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But if I had it, I would like it that way. I would like Arizona to come here and play. I know some people don't like. I think of all these teams are a very vanilla team. I'm not looking past any of the teams, but the team I feel more comfortable playing, put it that way. Especially this Phillies team stays hot. So that is where your wild card standings are. Like we all said, we are just 1 game, 1 magical game, 1 magical number away from locking up that playoff spot and just preparing for October 3rd. Let's look at the out of the town scoreboard before we get going tonight. Toronto beat up on Tampa 9-5. In the 2 games, Atlanta lost the first one to Washington 3-2. Second game, they won against Washington 8-5. Chicago beat Boston. The Red Sox, Chicago White Sox beat the Boston Red Sox 3-2. Arizona beat the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees 7-1. The Orioles beat Cleveland 5-1. Pittsburgh lost to Cincinnati 2-4. Miami beat Milwaukee 6-1. Houston lost to the Royals 6-5, and Houston's fighting too. So that's something to keep their eye. They could fall out of contention, especially against a team like the Royals. The Angels lost to the Twins 9-3. Let's see, and Chicago beat Colorado 4-3. Texas beat Seattle 9-8, and Detroit beat Oakland 2-0. St. Louis got walloped by San Diego 12-2. And San Fran is a final. The Dodgers beat the Giants 3-2 in extra innings. That's 10 innings it went. Really kind of putting San Fran back in really possibly staring and watching baseball October from home for this team. So it's the way it is. Let's see what sweet words does Matty B bring to the program tonight. Phillies have now struck out 1,410 times in 2023. Yeah, they have. But I mean, I would like to look at what other teams who have big hitters like we do, what they're striking out as. I mean, I'm not sitting there saying it's an acceptable number to have, but there's got to be some blemishes. There's no perfect team out there. And and I would love to know what the splits on for the first half of the year versus the second half. Because the one thing is like Nick Castellanos struggled for a little bit, like coming out of the All-Star break, and was just wailing away at things, but definitely settled in. JT kind of fell into that category. I mean, the beginning of the season, Turner was corkscrewing himself into the ground with the way he was swinging. So I would like to see how that's changed, now over the last, couple months compared to the beginning of the season. But no, I mean, Matt, it's a good point, and that could be the difference between a long postseason and a short postseason, is that discipline at the plate. So let's hope it does not come bite us, because come October 3rd, they can have 10,000 strikeouts as long as they're in the spot in the playoffs. Let's hope for the best. But guys, that is about it tonight. I want to thank you for joining me a little later than usual. But Phillies win it tonight 5-2, sweep the Mets in the series. They will see the Mets for 3 more Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Queens. Phillies baseball picks back up on Tuesday. Of course, tomorrow is an off day. The Eagles will be playing Tampa Bay on a Monday night game, the early Monday night game. Thank God, it's a little earlier one than the later one. We will be having a pregame, halftime, and postgame here at EOP. Speaking of, Matty B will be part of the pre and the postgame show. Pregame show goes off at 5. Eagles go off at 7. And then, of course, halftime and postgame come at those times. So check it out. I will be also putting out the calendar for this week very shortly for all the programming here at Edge of Philly Sports. And also we'll have out an article kind of summing up this entire Mets series and looking forward to the October 1st or October 3rd start of postseason baseball. Now, I know, Al, they haven't locked it up yet. You're getting ahead of yourself, but I think they're going to do it by Tuesday. I have a very good feeling that this can happen. Maybe the Pirates will come in and try to play spoiler. I don't know, and try to postpone it another game or two. But honestly, I have a feeling that this will be by Tuesday, a done deal. So let's hope it's that way. We're going to have a lot of post-season coverage here at Edge of Philly Sports, post games, hopefully some down from the game itself, and so much more coverage, and as well as check out our articles at eopsports.com. Other than I'm Big Al, check me out, Big Al EOP on Twitter, as well as EOP Sports at EOP Sports on Twitter as well. So check it out. Other than that, guys, have a good night. Go Birds for tomorrow, and hopefully that magic number becomes 0 on Tuesday night. We'll see you guys then. Have a great night.